Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Anda bersama saya Nabilah Khaleeda dalam Niaga AWANI. Seperti biasa, jam ini kita akan berikan laporan berita bisnes kewangan dan juga ekonomi. Dan sudah tentu tumpuan untuk hari ini ialah KDNK suku keempat 2023 yang bakal diumumkan insyaAllah tengah hari nanti dan bagaimana ia akan memberi cerminan terhadap kadar purata keseluruhan prestasi ekonomi tahun 2023 dan apa yang diperlukan Malaysia lagi untuk menentukan keutamaan dalam merealisasikan 7 petunjuk prestasi utama KPI yang digariskan dalam kerangka ekonomi madani selepas ini. Jadi kita juga ingin memahami lebih mendalam mengenai trend pergerakan ringgit pada tahun ini. Jadi kita bersama dengan Muhammad Zafri Zulkifli, pakar ekonomi MIDF Research dalam talian. Jadi Zafri, apakah jangkaan MIDF mengenai prestasi KDNK suku keempat 2023 yang akan diumumkan nanti?
Bagi suku keempat 2023, MIDF menjangkakan kadar KDNK dicatatkan pada 34%, iaitu sama dengan jangkaan awal yang dikeluarkan oleh Department Statistik. Dan ini didorong oleh pemulihan sektor luaran, khususnya pertanian, kelapa sawit, minyak dan gas, dan juga pengeluaran perkilangan, dan juga disokong oleh perkembangan sektor domestik seperti pembinaan dan perkhidmatan.
Jadi Zafri,
dan untuk pada tahun 2023 ini akan membawa kepada pertumbuhan sebanyak 3.8%, iaitu lebih rendah berbanding jangkaan kerajaan iaitu 4 ke 5% pada tahun 2023.
Jadi mungkin untuk tahun inilah KDNK 2024, apa mungkin faktor yang akan menyokong dan juga mungkin apa faktor yang akan menolak bagi pendapat Zafri?
MIDF meletakkan sasaran iaitu 4.7% untuk KDNK 2024. Ini didorong oleh pemulihan sektor luaran, khususnya ekspor negara yang dijangka akan pulih daripada pengucupan yang dicatatkan pada tahun lepas kepada perkembangan sebanyak 3 ke 4% pada tahun ini. Dan kestabilan harga komoditi seperti minyak sawit CPO dan juga Brent oil akan turut mendorong kepada perkembangan sektor primary ataupun minyak dan gas dan juga pertanian. Dan satu lagi adalah peningkatan kepada output perkilangan, khususnya dari segi manufacturing, sektor electrical, bahagian minyak petrol, refined petroleum dan juga perkiraan yang lain. Dan selain daripada itu, kita menjangkakan aktiviti pembinaan, construction akan terus pulih dan berkembang dengan lebih baik pada tahun ini, didorong oleh bajet belanjawan 2024 yang terus mengembang dan kerajaan telah meletakkan sasaran development expenditure lebih 90 bilion dan ini akan membantu merancakkan lagi sektor pembinaan. Namun bagi sektor perkhidmatan dan juga permintaan domestik, kita menjangkakan sedikit perlahan iaitu pada kadar 4.7% berbanding tahun lepas pada kadar 5%. Ini susulan daripada unjuran inflasi yang dijangkakan lebih tinggi pada tahun ini akibat daripada pengenalan subsidi bersasar yang akan mengakibatkan kenaikan harga barang. Jadi oleh itu ini akan memperlahankan sedikit perbelanjaan isi rumah dan juga perbelanjaan swasta dan dia akan melibatkan sekali dengan sektor perkhidmatan. Secara keseluruhan ekonomi Malaysia akan terus berkembang dan kita meletakkan sasaran 4.7% bagi tahun 2024.
Dan seperti yang Zafri katakan tadi, KDNK dijangka lebih baik pada tahun ini dan juga jangkaan untuk tahun lepas juga telah disebutkan seperti Zafri tadi ialah 3.4%. Jadi mungkin adakah trend yang sama akan berlaku untuk pergerakan ringgit atau bagaimana?
Pergerakan ringgit didorong oleh keputusan dasar monetary Amerika Syarikat yang seperti umum kita tahu. Dan berdasarkan kenyataan Bank Pusat Amerika Syarikat, dijangka akan melakukan pemotongan kadar pinjaman iaitu daripada 55% hingga ke 45% pada tahun ini. Dan pemotongan pertama dijangkakan berlaku pada Jun tahun ini dan seterusnya. Jadi dengan pemotongan kadar pinjaman di Amerika Syarikat ini akan membawa kepada kekuatan ringgit dan juga mata wang asing yang lain. Tapi ingin saya perincikan lagi mengenai ringgit. Ada isu-isu struktur yang lain yang terkait dengan ringgit. Kita tidak akan dapat melihat ringgit kembali ke 3 bawah 4 dalam masa terdekat. Hal ini kerana antara masalah struktur yang ada pada ringgit adalah kita boleh lihat dari segi current account surplus kita makin kecil. Sejak tahun 2012, current account surplus berbanding dengan KDNK telah dicatatkan bawah 10% ataupun single digit. Dan data terkini setakat 9 bulan pertama 2023 dicatatkan pada 1.7% current account surplus berbanding kadar KDNK. Dan faktor kedua, kalau kita melihat dari segi travel account ataupun aktiviti pelancongan, dia telah menurun sejak 2015 dan datang pandemik dia telah merencatkan lagi aktiviti itu perdagangan pelancongan negara. Dan setakat bulan 11 tahun lepas pelancongan negara foreign tourist yang datang ke sini adalah setakat 70% berbanding tahun 2019. Jadi masih ada ruang untuk pulih untuk sektor pelancongan. Dan faktor ketiga, melihat kepada sepanjang 2 dekad, Malaysia telah berubah dari sudut trading partner daripada China, daripada Amerika Syarikat ke US. China pada tahun 2005 kita hanya berdagang sebanyak 6.6% daripada ekspor kita hanya ke China. Kini adalah 13.5%. Sama juga seperti Amerika Syarikat 2005 kita berdagang hampir 20% daripada ekspor. Kini hanyalah tinggal 11.8%. Jadi perubahan struktur trading partners ini telah mengakibatkan Malaysia berubah daripada surplus ataupun net exporter to a net importer country. Jadi ini adalah mengakibatkan size trade balance kita pun net export kita makin kecil. Dan faktor keempat ingin saya tekankan, berdasarkan deposit mata wang asing atau kita panggil FCD, foreign currency deposit, berbanding dengan jumlah deposit yang ada di dalam negara. Pada tahun 2007 adalah pada kadar 2% dan kini telah menaik hampir ke 10%. Dan of course ada banyak perkara yang telah mendorong kepada perkara ini, antaranya digital banking dan kemudahan-kemudahan yang ada dalam sistem perbankan yang memudahkan kita membuat transaksi dengan mata wang asing. Ini telah mengakibatkan secara tidak langsung telah mempengaruhi prestasi ringgit. Jadi selain daripada pergerakan ataupun kenyataan dasar monetary Amerika Syarikat, ringgit mempunyai masalah-masalah struktur yang lain yang perlu ditangani dan ini telah membuatkan ringgit kekal pada paras lebih 4.00 berbanding dolar Amerika.
Baik. Mungkin sedikitlah yang terakhir, berbakikan 1 minit, kerangka madani merupakan komponen utama dalam reformasi negara ketika ini. Jadi bagaimana untuk kita menilai setiap pencapaian atau check in progress terhadap setiap program yang dilaksanakan ini, Zafri?
Untuk kita meletakkan kayu ukur KDNK adalah tidak sesuai kerana KDNK mempunyai segmen sektor luaran dan juga sektor dalaman. Kerangka madani mungkin boleh merancangkan lagi aktiviti dalaman, tapi KDNK ini dipengaruhi oleh faktor luar. Namun dari segi lihat pada kerangka madani, dia menetapkan beberapa target yang untuk jangka masa yang panjang, umpamanya pelibatan wanita dalam sektor pekerjaan dan juga untuk meningkatkan mutu ekonomi dengan perubahan struktur dalam ekspor negara, antaranya sektor elektrikal, semikonduktor sebagai contoh. untuk bergerak daripada the low end to the high end. Ini mengambil masa yang panjang. Jadi untuk melihat kepada untuk mengukur kerangka madari ini perlu mengambil pelbagai faktor dan penilaian yang lebih mendalam. Antaranya kita perlu lihat dari segi sudut struktur. Contohnya tadi saya sebut dalam masa 3 tahun akan datang, apakah ada kenaikan dari segi pelibatan wanita dalam sektor pekerjaan. Kita boleh measure dari segi employment ratio, dan juga dari segi value added yang ada dalam sektor manufacturing, untuk kita lihat bagaimana perubahan polisi khususnya daripada NIMP dan juga NETA telah mengubah struktur ekonomi negara. Dan ini perlu dilihat secara lebih detail, antaranya adalah melalui value added measure berbanding dengan hanya melihat pada KDNK negara.
Baik, terima kasih diucapkan kepada Muhammad Zafri Zulkifli, pakar ekonomi MIDF Research. Jadi kita sama-samakan nanti pengumuman untuk prestasi KDNK suku keempat 2023. Adakah ia menepati sasaran penganalisis? Jadi kita akan sama nantikan selepas ini. Jadi kita akan teruskan dengan semalam DOSM ada keluarkan data berkait dengan guna tenaga. Jadi rakan setugas Nina Rozman ada perinciannya. Silakan Nina.
Baik, terima kasih Nabilah. Sudah tentu laporan yang akan saya bentangkan daripada DOSM ini adalah merangkumi permintaan buruh, merangkumi indikator bilangan jawatan, jawatan diisi, kekosongan jawatan dan juga pewujudan jawatan mengikut kategori kemahiran dan aktiviti ekonomi. Dan kalau kita nak teliti mengenai bagaimanakah iaitu prestasi statistik guna tenaga untuk suku keempat 2023, kalau boleh kita saksikan di sini prestasinya mengikut suku ke suku daripada tahun 2021 sehinggalah tahun 2023, kita menyaksikan iaitu peningkatan yang berterusan daripada segi guna tenaga yang telah meningkat daripada segi jumlah jawatan, dan kita lihat iaitu antara yang tertinggi yang telah direkodkan sebanyak 8.94 juta yang dicatatkan pada suku keempat 2023 tahun lepas, peningkatan sebanyak 2.1%. Selain itu, untuk kita terlihat bagaimanakah jumlah jawatan mengikut kategori kemahiran di sini, jumlah jawatan kebanyakannya di bawah kategori separuh mahir dengan pewujudan jawatan sebanyak 62.5 juta, termasuk juga dengan jawatan banyak yang diisi di bawah kategori separuh mahir dengan mencatatkan 62.7 juta. Dan kita dapat lihat peningkatan jumlah jawatan ini menunjukkan permintaan buruh di Malaysia kekal menggalakkan dan stabil. Seterusnya dikatakan menyokong prospek ekonomi yang lebih baik pada tahun 2024. Dan untuk kita lihat di sini guna tenaga dalam sektor ekonomi yang terbahagi kepada 5 industri, termasuk pertanian, pembuatan, pembinaan dan perlombongan dan keluaran, termasuk juga dengan perkhidmatan. Perkhidmatan adalah sektor yang mempunyai jumlah jawatan yang tertinggi dengan mencatatkan sebanyak 4.63 juta jawatan yang tertumpu hanya pada sektor perkhidmatan. Dan antara sektor yang kedua mempunyai jumlah jawatan diisi termasuk juga dengan jawatan kosong adalah sebanyak 2.5 juta adalah di bawah sektor pembuatan. Ini adalah antara dua sektor yang mempunyai jumlah jawatan termasuk jawatan diisi dengan jumlah kekosongan jawatan adalah daripada sektor pembuatan dan juga sektor perkhidmatan. Dan antara sektor yang mempunyai jumlah jawatan yang terendah berbanding sektor-sektor lain adalah daripada sektor perlombongan dan juga pengkuarian yang telah mencatatkan jumlah jawatan sebanyak 80,000. Dan ini adalah serba sedikit kalau kita dapat saksikan guna tenaga daripada prestasi suku ke suku daripada tahun 2021 sehinggalah suku keempat 2023, dan kita dapat saksikan bagaimanakah angka-angkanya mengikut iaitu sektor ekonomi dan aktiviti ekonomi mengikut industri. Sudah tentu merumuskan kenyataan DOSM ya Nabilah, suku tahun keempat 2023 telah menyaksikan pertumbuhan sederhana di tengah-tengah gelombang makroekonomi yang berlanjutan, konflik geopolitik dan sentimen berjaga-jaga dalam perniagaan menjelang tahun 2024. Walau bagaimanapun, pasaran buruh dijangka akan kekal stabil pada suku tahun yang akan datang, rentetan daripada pelaburan dan juga pertumbuhan dalam kebanyakan industri. Dan data ini sedikit antara indikator untuk kita lihat bagaimanakah trend masa depan pasaran pekerjaan, termasuk memberi ruang untuk kita mengenal pasti peluang ataupun risiko yang berpotensi yang akan mempengaruhi ekonomi negara, Nabilah.
Baik, terima kasih Nina atas pembentangan itu tadi. Dan daripada angka dan statistik terkini guna tenaga suku keempat 2023 dan beberapa data lain menunjukkan prestasi pasaran buruh Malaysia, ia memberi ruang untuk kita meneliti cabaran yang dihadapi oleh para graduan di Malaysia. Jadi kita nak tahu apakah isu utama yang sedang menanti mereka untuk melangkah masuk ke alam pekerjaan. Jadi bersama saya dalam talian pada ketika ini ialah Dr. Maria Muhammad Ismail, pensyarah kanan Jabatan Sains Politik Pentadbiran Awam dan Pengajian Pembangunan Fakulti Perniagaan dan Ekonomi Universiti Malaya. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi.
Baik doktor, boleh kongsikan apa cabaran utama kepada graduan muda di Malaysia pada ketika ini? Adakah gaji rendah? Adakah juga mismatch dalam pekerjaan ataupun mungkin tiada peluang pekerjaan? Mungkin doktor boleh kongsikan secara terperinci.
Okey, terima kasih. Saya kira generasi Z ataupun Gen Z di Malaysia, iaitu mereka yang lahir sekitar tahun 1995 ke 2010 ini, yang berdepan dengan cabaran pekerjaan yang lebih dinamik. Antara cabaran utamanya adalah cabaran gaji rendah, cabaran ketidaksepadanan pekerjaan ataupun mismatch employment, dan juga kurangnya peluang pekerjaan. Okey, jadi saya akan kupaskan gaji rendah dan tiga isu ni tadi lah ya. Gaji rendah yang saya kira bukan satu isu yang baru ya. Ia bukan satu isu yang baru di negara kita. Gaji permulaan yang dibayar rendah oleh majikan, iaitu yang tidak sejajar dengan kos sara hidup, kos sara hidup yang semakin meningkat, terutamanya mereka yang tinggal di kawasan bandar. Dan dilihat keadaan ini semakin buruk selepas pandemik COVID-19. Kadar gaji minimum yang telah diselaraskan oleh pihak kerajaan dilihat bermula daripada nilai RM900 dan kemudian ditambah kepada RM1,200 dan kini ianya diselaraskan pada kadar RM1,500. Yang saya kira satu permulaan yang baiklah dalam usaha penyelarasan gaji minimum, tapi ini juga dilihat bukan satu penyelesaian bagi isu gaji rendah yang didepani oleh graduan kita secara keseluruhannya. Jadi kenapa majikan menawarkan permulaan gaji yang rendah? Ada beberapa faktor. Antara faktor yang boleh saya kongsikan antaranya adalah daripada lambakan graduan ataupun lebihan graduan. Lambakan graduan maksudnya jumlah graduan yang bergraduasi dan memasuki pasaran dilihat melebihi permintaan untuk mengisi jawatan-jawatan di organisasi, di industri, di syarikat-syarikat. Jadi ini juga dilihat sebagai salah satu sebab mengapa majikan menawarkan permulaan gaji yang rendah, kerana terdapat kumpulan yang besar graduan yang memasuki pasaran dan majikan mempunyai harus memilih daripada kumpulan yang besar ni tadi. Antara sebab lain dan sebab yang saya kira sebab utama juga kenapa gaji dibayar rendah kepada graduan ini tadi adalah kurangnya pengalaman praktikal. Kebiasaannya graduan tidak mempunyai pengalaman kerja kerana mereka baru saja bergraduasi. Jadi ini dilihat sebagai faktor utama kenapa gaji mereka dibayar rendah. Gaji mereka dibayar rendah kerana majikan ingin mengimbangi, to balance between masa dan juga sumber yang akan dilaburkan untuk graduan tu tadi dengan menghantar mereka pergi menjalani latihan kerja profesional, latihan untuk meningkatkan kemahiran mereka, upskilling program. Jadi disebabkan itu gaji permulaan itu dibayar agak rendah kerana kos untuk menghantar graduan ini tadi untuk menjalani latihan kemahiran adalah tinggi dan sebenarnya gaji rendah ini juga bergantung, saya kira bergantung kepada jenis industri, jenis pekerjaan yang dipohon. Rata-ratanya organisasi contoh menawarkan jawatan yang sama tapi dengan gaji yang lebih kurang sama, jadi mempunyai persaingan yang tinggi. Ya, jadi jika organisasi yang mempunyai margin pendapatan yang rendah, gaji juga akan ditawarkan dengan permulaan yang agak rendah. Ya, dan antara sebab yang lainnya saya lihat adalah kurangnya tawaran pekerjaan sekarang di pasaran, kurang menawarkan pekerjaan yang memerlukan kemahiran tinggi. Rata-rata kemahiran, kategori kemahiran yang diperuntukkan, yang ditawarkan adalah dalam kategori separuh mahir seperti yang dikongsikan awal tadi, kan, dalam kategori separuh mahir ataupun kurang mahir. Dan ini telah dipelopori oleh warga asing, ya, dibanjiri oleh warga asing, dan kita dapat lihat peningkatan kemasukan warga asing untuk bekerja dalam sektor seperti sektor pembinaan, sektor perkilangan, kan. Jadi ini juga dilihat antara faktor kenapa gaji dibayar rendah, ya, kerana kategori kerja itu sendiri di peringkat di dalam kategori separuh mahir dan bukannya berkemahiran tinggi. Antara sebab lain yang saya kira tidak kurang pentingnya juga adalah ketidaksepadanan pekerjaan ataupun mismatch employment. Apa itu ketidaksepadanan pekerjaan? Jika saya boleh kongsikan, ketidaksepadanan pekerjaan ini berlaku di mana kemahiran dan kelayakan graduan ini tidak sepadan dengan keperluan pasaran kerja. Jadi apabila ini berlaku, graduan akan memilih untuk kerja di luar bidang kemahiran mereka, di luar sebelum ijazah yang mereka miliki. Ya, sebagai contoh, rata-rata graduan kita, ya, memilih untuk terlibat dalam sektor pemasaran, ya, dalam sektor jualan, dalam sektor khidmat pelanggan. Padahal mereka ini latar belakang pendidikannya tidak semestinya berlatar belakangkan marketing, berlatar belakangkan jualan, khidmat pelanggan, tapi mungkin mereka tidak mempunyai pilihan yang banyak untuk memilih peluang pekerjaan berdasarkan kemahiran mereka. Jadi mereka pun graduan ini tadi memilih apa saja tawaran pekerjaan yang sedia ada. Ya, jadi antaranya juga saya lihat graduan kini, ya, generasi muda sekarang lebih juga cenderung untuk mencuburi pekerjaan gig, ya, seperti menjadi pemandu e-hailing, menjadi pemandu p-hailing, freelance, ataupun ada yang menjadi social media influencer, ya, dan pekerjaan yang berkaitan lah, memilih pekerjaan yang tidak formal berbanding pekerjaan yang formal. Ya, jadi di sini saya lihat bagaimana cara untuk kita mengatasi isu ketidaksepadanan pekerjaan, mismatch employment ini, yang juga saya kira bukan satu isu yang baru, ya, di negara kita. Jadi saya rasa pentingnya untuk kita adakan pembaharuan pasaran kerja. Pembaharuan pasaran kerja untuk mengatasi isu ketidaksepadanan pekerjaan ini tadi, dengan sekaligus dapat menurunkan kadar graduan menganggur, ya, dan boleh meningkatkan pertumbuhan gaji yang dilihat sedikit perlahan, ya. Jadi apakah strategi untuk pembaharuan pasaran kerja ini? Yang saya lihat mungkin kita boleh tingkatkan kecekapan ataupun produktiviti pekerja itu sendiri. Di sini saya rasa majikan, ya, pihak industri, syarikat dan organisasi memainkan peranan yang penting dalam menyediakan guidelines yang lebih jelas, yang lebih tepat kepada para graduan. Jadi sebelum mereka memasuki pekerjaan itu, mereka tahu apakah kemahiran yang mereka perlukan, apakah jenis pencapaian yang mereka perlu capai, ya, produktiviti, apakah tugasan mereka, dan juga beserta jadual gaji. Saya kira juga penting untuk para graduan ini mengetahui isu bayaran gaji, ya, projection gaji yang mereka akan terima setelah 2 tahun, 3 tahun bekerja di syarikat itu. Saya kira ini penting. Selain itu, meningkatkan akses kepada pendidikan yang lebih berkualiti dan juga industri
yang boleh kita fokus tentang gaji terutama untuk graduan ini, tapi Maaf kita tak banyak masa dan saya pasti doktor juga banyak lagi yang ingin dikongsikan mungkin di lain waktu. Jadi pada ketika ini terima kasih diucapkan kepada Dr. Maria Muhammad Ismail, pensyarah kanan Jabatan Sains Politik, Pentadbiran Awam dan juga Pengajian Pembangunan, Fakulti Perniagaan dan Ekonomi Universiti Malaya, dan anda boleh dapatkan perbincangan dan perkongsian ini di semua platform digital astrawani.com dan juga semua platform media social media Astrawani. Kita akan berhenti rehat seketika, kembali selepas ini.
Shampoo lelaki terkemuka di dunia kini lebih hebat. Clear Man baharu dikuasai teknologi anti kelumomo hebat untuk menghapuskan kelumomo, kegatalan dan minyak. Sehingga 100% tiada kelumomo, 100% keyakinan. Clear Man baharu.
Kerjasama lebih erat untuk bagaimana memperkuat ASEAN. ASEAN sekarang kan di crossroad, jadi Indonesia dan Malaysia bisa menjadi pilar untuk memperkuat kesatuan dari ASEAN.
So we see a tremendous future for hydrogen to be a part of the decarbonization of the planet. At this point of time, Malaysia and India, and where we have been sort of focusing on developing projects.
Siapakah keempat Most Wanted 2023? Anda yang akan menentukannya. Layari www.gempamostwantedaward.com sekarang untuk mengundi Gempak Most Wanted Award terpaling trending.
Bertemu kembali dalam Niaga AWANI, sedikit perkembangan antarabangsa. Jepun kehilangan statusnya sebagai kuasa ekonomi ketiga terbesar dunia kepada Jerman selepas mengalami kemelesetan pada suku akhir tahun lepas akibat permintaan domestik yang lemah. Kerajaan Jepun berkata keluaran dalam negara kasar KDNK nominal Jepun pada 2023 lebih rendah berbanding Jerman, menjadikan negara matahari terbit itu turun ke tangga keempat. Faktor utama adalah disebabkan kejatuhan mendadak dalam nilai yen. Dan pada Oktober hingga Disember tahun lepas, ekonomi Jepun menyusut sebanyak 0.1% berbanding suku sebelumnya. Penggunaan swasta yang menyumbang lebih separuh kepada kekuatan ekonomi Jepun jatuh sebanyak 0.2%, merekodkan penurunan dalam 3 suku berturut-turut. Isi rumah Jepun pula kini sedang bergelut dengan kenaikan kos sara hidup dan penurunan gaji. Perbelanjaan pelaburan korporat juga merekodkan prestasi lemah dengan penurunan 0.1% pada suku yang lepas.
極めて日本の成長力が弱いということが印象付けられました。で、これで2期連続マイナス、今回は10、12ですけども、7、9月のマイナス、10、12のマイナス、2四半期連続でマイナスになっているというのは、まあ過去、景気後退だった2018年とか2012年とか、まあその時も GDP が2期マイナス連続で、になっているので、極めて成長率は低いということがわかると思います。やっぱり、CPI は大きく上がってきて、個人消費の伸びというのは、その CPI の上昇に対して、実施消費がこう増えていかない、まあ、つまり、消費の数量が下がっていると、まあ、そういう消費のトレンドの弱さを色濃く反映してますね。日本の、経済規模の順位が4位に転落したと。この状況というのは事前に予想していたよりもより深刻なものだと私は受け止めています。これは為替レートの要因、2023年平均した時の為替レートが1ドル140円50銭。まあ、そういう意味ではですね、歴史的な円安が、円の価値をこう小さくしてしまっているというのが、ドイツに抜かれた結構大きな要因になっているんですが、日本経済自体が弱いのでですね、日銀は金融引き締めに動くことができなかったと。まあ、今もですね、日銀は3月か4月に、マイナス金利解除をやろうとしているんですが、総裁や副総裁の発言によると、マイナス金利解除を行っても緩和的な金融環境は続くと。為替マーケットはそれを受けて、また150円ぐらいの円安になってますから、円安体質であるということが、日本が4位に転落したという背景にはあるんじゃないかと思いますね。
Britain kini dilanda kemelesetan ekonomi apabila data rasmi menunjukkan keluaran dalam negara kasar KDNK menyusut 0.3% pada suku keempat 2023 selepas mengucup 0.1% dalam 3 bulan sebelumnya. Pejabat Perangkaan Kebangsaan ONS dalam satu kenyataan berkata, keadaan itu meletakkan ekonomi Britain dalam kemelesetan selepas apa yang ditakrif sebagai penurunan 2/4 KDNK secara berturut-turut. Walaupun ahli ekonomi meramalkan kemelesetan hanya bersifat jangka pendek, ia menjejaskan kedudukan Sunak yang meletakkan pertumbuhan ekonomi sebagai keutamaan utama. Menjelang pilihan raya umum, pengundi berdepan dua pilihan raya kecil dengan Konservatif bimbang kehilangan kubu kuat di Wellingborough di tengah England dan Kingswood di barat daya. Dalam skala lebih meluas, semua sektor utama menyusut pada suku keempat dengan sektor pembuatan dan pembinaan paling terkesan. Ekonomi Britain secara amnya mendatar tahun lalu dengan pengembangan 0.1%, turun mendadak daripada pertumbuhan 4.6% pada 2022. Bertindak balas kepada data itu, Parti Buruh menyelar pengawasan kerajaan terhadap ekonomi. Jurucakap Kewangan Buruh Rachel Reeves menegaskan ini adalah kemelesetan Rishi Sunak dan berita ini akan membimbangkan masyarakat dan perniagaan di seluruh Britain. Sementara itu, Menteri Kewangan Britain Jeremy Hunt menegaskan ekonomi sedang pulih walaupun inflasi berada pada 4%, 2 kali ganda kadar sasaran Bank of England. Jelasnya inflasi yang tinggi adalah satu-satunya penghalang terbesar kepada pertumbuhan.
We always expected growth to be weaker while we prioritise tackling inflation. That means higher interest rates. And that's the right thing to do because you can't have long-term healthy growth with high inflation, but also for families when there's a cost of living crisis, when the cost of their weekly shop is going up, their energy bills are much higher, it's the right thing to do. The underlying picture here is an economy that is more resilient than most people predicted. Inflation is coming down, real wages have been going up now for 6 months. And if we stick to our guns, independent forecasters say that by the early summer we could start to see interest rates falling, and that will be a very important relief for families with mortgages.
Ekonomi Singapura tumbuh 1.1% tahun lalu sekaligus gagal mencapai sasaran anggaran awal yang diumumkan Perdana Menteri Lee Hsien Loong pada sambutan malam tahun baru sebelum ini. Kementerian Perdagangan dan Industri MTI Singapura yang menerbitkan data itu turut memberi amaran risiko geopolitik akan terus menyebabkan ketidaktentuan tahun ini.
Prestasi ekonomi negara itu kebiasaannya dilihat sebagai pengukur persekitaran global disebabkan kebergantungannya terhadap perdagangan antarabangsa. Ia pertumbuhan tahun ketiga berturut-turut sejak kemelesetan pada 2020 yang berpunca oleh pandemik COVID-19, namun lebih perlahan berbanding 3.8% yang dicatatkan pada 2022 dan 8.9% pada 2021. Unjuran tahun ini tidak berubah antara 1.0 hingga 3.0%, kata kementerian itu. Prestasi lemah tahun lalu adalah disebabkan oleh permintaan global lebih lemah bagi ekspor Singapura dengan sektor pembuatan penting menguncuk 4.3% berbanding pertumbuhan 2.7% pada tahun sebelumnya. Tinjauan permintaan luar Singapura bagi 2024 kebanyakannya tidak berubah. Pertumbuhan ekonomi di pasaran ekspor utama termasuk Amerika Syarikat dan zon Euro dijangka menyederhana pada separuh pertama tahun ini. Kebanyakannya disebabkan oleh persekitaran kewangan sempit yang berterusan sebelum pulih secara berperingkat sejajar dengan jangkaan pelonggaran dasar moneteri apabila tekanan inflasi mereda, tambahnya.
In Southeast Asia's largest economy, roughly 80% of the population remains underbanked or unbanked, with many lack access to some form of financial services. Bridging the gap is one of the leading digital payment platform in Indonesia, Dana. CEO and founder Vincent Iswaratioso shares with us his journey and efforts in transforming Indonesia to become a cashless society.
One of the leading digital payment platforms in the country, Dana Indonesia plays a pivotal role in steering Indonesia into a cashless society. With more than 170 million users, the company aims to accelerate financial literacy and inclusion, reshaping the fintech landscape one transaction at a time.
First thing, right? I mean, what is it that digital payment better compared to cash? Is the majority of populations, if you take a look into everyone's before digital, the behavior is that at the end of the month or the end of the week, they have to go to ATM machines or bank branches or bank agents to draw cash. And usually that will either require some logistic, and usually or sometimes for a lot of people you will get charged. After that, you also might need it for many of the online services that's now available in Indonesia, right? There's a marketplace, there are e-commerce that you have a really good pricing points that's better and not accessible for them before. But because of this expansion of this online services and online commerce that they have access, they can use also the digital payment to pay for all of them. So they get also a better product selections and a better pricing points. And then after that, expand as well. So now you can use it for all offline transactions. Since you already have your digital payment for paying for your bills, airtime for online, and you can use it for offline, and it becomes just a convenient tools for you that provide end-to-end.
Like many digital payment companies in Malaysia, Dana is taking advantage of Indonesia's high mobile penetration to introduce e-wallets.
Well, I mean, when you talk about access to banks, or I would say access to financial services, Indonesia, it's still very much underpenetrated. But then if you think about the other things, right? What is it that it's highly that have high penetration in Indonesia? It's mobile smartphone penetration. So Indonesia have a actually one of the largest ratio of mobile smartphone penetration. And you also can take a look how active Indonesia in social media. I think Indonesia, I'm sure if you take a look into all the data statistic, we're one of the most active in any social media. And the penetrations of that in Indonesia is pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, on the monthly basis, if you talk about YouTube, if you talk about WhatsApp, they have about more than 150 million monthly active users. And as you compare that to the penetrations to the banks, that's so much lower. So that means there are potential, right? There are potential of people who already have access to this digital ecosystem, but not yet have access to financial services. So that's where we come in. That's why we believe that mobile payment, mobile financial services should be accessible to everyone. And that's why what we're building is really a service, a product that can be accessible to everyone that's already used to this digital ecosystem.
Indonesia is home to 10 unicorn startups, with Dana joining the list in 2022 after reaching a valuation of $1.3 billion. Vincent shares what makes Indonesia favorable for building unicorn companies, especially in the fintech space.
I think there's also in regards to the gap, right? In Malaysia, the majority of the population is already banked, right? The majority of our population is already, I would say, have access to financial. Well, in Indonesia, as we talked earlier, it's like the majority of people are still unbanked. The majority of people who don't have a good formal financial services. So that's why the opportunity is there. So when you talk about fintech, that's why it's still booming, exciting because of the gap. There's so many opportunities, and we are jumping over certain technology. So for example, like in Malaysia, there are very card-centric populations, right? Where that card penetration has already entrenched in the market for so long. But it's also pretty user-friendly. So that's why a lot of people still kind of stuck with it. But we jumped it to mobile to completely to do digital, because we believe that's a better solution for the market, as I mentioned to you as well. Also because the penetration of the smartphone in Indonesia is pretty high. So that's why I see where in Indonesia a lot tech or companies have gone into the billion or more valuations, because market size, opportunity, and also the need of the market.
While COVID-19 has accelerated digital transformation in Indonesia, many are still left behind or are wary of getting on board. Vincent stressed the need to build trust and ensure the security of digital systems.
Definitely there are challenges, and that's where we need to not just ourselves, we need to work with the industry, we need to with the other players, because security, it's important to build trust. And security is not a one entity problem, because we live in a network, we live in an ecosystem, right? So we are only as strong as the weakest link in the network. So then we have to work with everyone to solve this together. It's not just one company, and we do that. And then for example, like Dana, do a lot of what we call risk sharing with the others. We are also involved heavily with a cyber security initiative from Bank Indonesia, from KADIN as well. That's the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. And we also trying to educate the market together. And for example, right, I'm sure that's also happening in Malaysia as well. Phishing, scamming, that's happened. That's also an international problem right now. And then we need to help the customers to understand. You know, please don't share your PIN, OTP, email, or even don't share your personal identity photo online, right? Because that can be widely used by the scammers and the phishers. So we work closely with the industries and then educate them. And then in terms of our technology itself, we are always, you know, trying to go ahead, much ahead compared to the industries, because we want to make sure that we can help our customers to feel secure.
Right. Dana has big plans, and starts with improving the financial literacy and financial health of its users, and eventually all of Indonesia.
We really want to push more and more of the access to financial services, access and education, right? Because as we mentioned to you, there are still a lot of people that don't have this good access, and we want to make sure that people have a good education just in regard to that. Then they can plan ahead, they can eventually have much better financial health. So that's where we are trying to grow ourselves into, making sure that every user of Dana can have a mindset of being financially healthy.
Dua beradik bawah umur dipercayai dieksploitasi ibu mereka telah pun diselamatkan oleh pihak JKM, iaitu Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong bertitah bahawa Istana Negara tidak akan terlibat dalam sembarang percaturan politik.
KPM belum putuskan bila pelajar perlu pakai semula seragam sekolah. Pemakaian sedia ada diteruskan sehingga ia diputuskan kelak.
Dua anggota polis ditahan kerja sehinggalah siasatan kes samun dan rogol.
Hanya 5 finalis yang bakal beraksi minggu hadapan. Inilah finalisnya.
Tanya, this is your best performance.
And it was amazing.
Peluang terakhir untuk mereka memenangi hati jutaan peminat. Siapakah yang bakal dinobatkan sebagai juara? Demas Singa Malaysia akhir di Astro Warna dan Astro Go. Sertai peraduan misi misteri untuk memenangi TV 4K 65 inci setiap minggu.
Hello and welcome to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tehmina. Kaoosji. Niaga Spotlight goes through the week in business and future affairs, market watch, industries, analysis and insights. We've got you covered right here on Niaga Spotlight. Well, this week on analysis, we're looking at digital resilience and economic security. Now, 5G technology in Malaysia is revolutionizing connectivity, data transfer and innovation, paving the way for IR 4.0. However, this transition also presents challenges, including cyber vulnerabilities that could compromise national security, disrupt economic stability, and of course jeopardize data privacy of citizens. The mitigation of these threats requires a strategic and proactive approach. In fact, over the last 3 weeks alone, international hacker group Rootkit kicked off its cyber attack campaign against Malaysia, linked with the conflict in the Middle East, and has also announced a quote-unquote temporary cessation. Targets of this recent cyber attack campaign include network solutions and system integrator Aminia, alongside Maxis and UTutor, with threats to release Maxis customer data. So this Niaga Spotlight discussion focuses on fortifying cyber resilience as well as enhancing cybersecurity measures for optimum protection and economic security in a data-driven world. It's an absolute pleasure that joining me in the studio now are Sharifah Rashida Said Uthman, Director with Cybersecurity Policy and International Cooperation with the National Cybersecurity Agency, NACSA. We also have Mohammad Zabri Adil Talib, Vice President of Cybersecurity Responsive Services with Cybersecurity Malaysia, CSM, and Sage Kaur, Pre-Sales Technical Manager with Trend Micro Malaysia. Thank you all for making time to join us on Niaga Spotlight. How are you all doing?
We're fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. So if I may get started by asking perhaps Sheikh Zabri first. Now, the Rootkit cyber attack campaign, of course, it's not the first time that we have had a massive breach or a threat of a big cyber attack in Malaysia. And previous incidents that we'll go into deeper also include the NRD, National Registration Department. So why does this problem still persist in CSM's perspective?
Okay, this is data breach is not only a Malaysia problem.
Of course not.
It's a global issues whereby all the cyber criminals, they are trying to look for this data. Because data is the new oil, the new gold.
Well put.
They can do a lot of things from this data, personal data. So because of this, the threat are emerging. They are using the latest technology. They will try to improve their modus operandi and try to use many things that can assist their objective. Looking at Malaysia perspective, I think that there is a gap in Malaysia regulatory framework, whereby it is obviously that what we have right now is not enough. It's not enough, whereby, of course, we have Computer Crime Act, we have Communication and Multimedia Act. But when we look at this perspective, we need more. We need something that is preventive in nature, whereby it will put all these organizations to have the needs of understanding what is the level of their cybersecurity readiness in their organization. So how do we do this? Through audits, through assessment. So if we have this, and then we understand what is the threat level, what is the cybersecurity level at the organization. Because of the absence of this, we don't know what's the level of it. And some organizations, they took advantage of this by ignoring the investment of cybersecurity, which led to this low level of cybersecurity aspect, which led to the hackers to steal the data and then sell it over the dark web and monetize from it. And then we see, which obviously the scammers use these data from the dark web to assist their campaign. So from overall perspective, we can see that the cyber criminals or the hackers, they will not stop. They will not stopping down or slowing down because they try everything.
There's so much of incentive, right?
Yeah, because it's a luxury industry. Scam is a luxury industry.
Fairly put. Thank you so much, Zabri. I think that's a really fantastic introduction to the overall landscape right now. Sage, if I could go into from a Trend Micro perspective, what do you have to add to this? Speaking about especially organizations' responsibility to intervene even before the cyber attacks and threats happen.
Yes, I think the cyber attack has been a long-standing issue, like what Encik Zabri have already spoke about, and rootkit is not the first and will not be the last. And we notice nowadays the attacker becoming more bolder and in claiming responsibility on the attack, right? So in the past experience, we actually noticed that, the negligence of insider and also lack of awareness is the root cause of a cyber breach attack. And then the use of weak password, for example.
Even at an organizational level?
Even at the organization level. And it could cause to unauthorized access to the systems and eventually causing the data breach happening in the organizations. That's why we often encourage organizations to implement multi-factor authentication solutions in order to overcome that. And another negligence behavior could be simply clicking the malicious link on a malicious, a phishing email that could cause to a breach as well. So the both so-called example that I quote just now is actually what we usually call cyber hygiene. So that is the usual problem that leads to a cyber attack nowadays. And I would like to give a credit to both CSM and also NACSA. They constantly giving, the adversary in terms of how do we want to, when rootkit starts to announce, this in the public, where they are attacking Malaysia nation as a nation. So they giving the adversary saying that, okay, what you should do, what is the steps that you should overcome this
the SOP hygiene, basically.
The SOP basically. And then come to furthermore, right, in the past few years, we witnessed actually COVID accelerated the digital transformations, right? People can be working from everywhere, data can be accessed from everywhere. So that is also one of the big challenge leading to the rapid cloud adoptions as well. And then such situation will actually introduce more vulnerabilities and more attack surface to the organizations. And another probably challenge that we see also shortage of skilled workforce.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you...
Thanks for that overview in so far, Sage. Rashida, if I could move into asking you about the shortage of the skilled workforce. Now, we technically have an anticipated need for roughly about 25,000 or so cybersecurity experts just by 2025. If there's anything that you could share with us about collaborative efforts that have been happening between especially the government and also educational institutions and other players.
To address the cybersecurity workforce?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. And I actually would like to echo my colleague panels regarding the importance for the shared responsibility, the things that at national level, where the government recognized that in handling cybersecurity incidences, governments alone cannot handles that. No entity alone can handle that.
This is not a silo job, right?
No, at all. No nation alone can actually handles that. So hence where there are a lot of issues in terms of providing cybersecurity skills, and cybersecurity skills here does not mean just technical skills, because cybersecurity today is no more an IT issue. It is a technical issue where you need people that have the ability to understand what technicality is. It is also a national security issue because, let's face it, a lot of information resides in digital. We are talking about economy today, is an economical advantage to anyone. So it is also an economic and geopolitical issue where you need to look into the surrounding and map that with regards to the ability for you to identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. That is what, as a nation, we should achieve. And addressing the gap of each and every step in this framework that is understandable with regards to all the cybersecurity, information security practitioner, where you need to do this to address the guilt for each and everything so that we can elevate the national cyber baseline and hygiene to see and pinpoint what are the threats, who are the threats actors, and mitigate that accordingly with a collaborative and coordinated work.
The cyber baseline, elevating that. Thank you very much for focusing on that, Puan Rashida. Jazabri, if I can go back into also referring to and picking up from what Puan Rashida said. Now, we've got some stats from Palo Alto Networks. It's a US-based cybersecurity company. They look at ransomware, etc. So apparently, cases in Malaysia actually increased by almost close to 40% just in 2022. So going into the real question, the average cost of data breaches when it comes to the global landscape, it's of course incredible. In 2023, it was over 4.45 million USD. Now, a 15% increase over 3 years. Do we have any quantifiers or parameters for the Malaysian landscape? And even if we don't have the statistical data, what is CSM's perspectives on the losses that are being created by this?
Okay, unfortunately, there is no effort to quantify,
enumerate.
Yeah, to enumerate the loss of data breach.
Do you think it would? Do you think it would actually assist with having stakeholders be much more strict about their cyber hygiene?
Yeah. So in Cybersecurity Malaysia, we study according to PDRM. Okay, last year in 2023, the total loss is 1.13 billion ringgit into cybercrime, focusing on the, and then on the previous year in 2022 it is 771.1 million. So there is an increase about 300 million ringgit loss in total. This is why I said that scam is the lucrative industry, whereby all these scammers or criminals, they will not slowing down, they will push to increase their income, so-called. And then according to Cybersecurity Malaysia, Cyber 999 reporting channel, whereby it's actually focused on the technical matter aspect, we recorded increase of, last year we recorded 646 data breach cases. Compared to in 2022, it's about 50 cases. So there is a massive increase. So in our prediction that there is a correlation because of the numbers of data breach increase, and then it relates to the increase of loss in the cybercrime cases by the victim. It's not really scientific, but this is some of the assumption or the prediction that we expect. We conduct threat intelligence analysis, and then we found out, we monitor the dark web, the data breach forums, selling data, whereby it is recorded that government sectors recorded 22% from overall, followed by telecommunication at 9%, and then followed by education and retail sectors at 6% each. So, which means that the cyber criminal will always target the government because of the data. So
the value of the data.
The value of the data. Yes. And then looking at the dark web, the more recent the data, the value is sell at much higher price. Yeah.
Those are some fascinating insights. Thanks very much, Zabri. Sage, would you be able to perhaps give us a comparative of, have we actually seen an uptick by organizations for acquiring protective software, systems, etc., also in the past 2 to 3 years, given the increase in the not just threat, but also the actual losses?
Yeah. Let me put this question in another perspective.
Sure.
When we look at, losses in the incident of cyber breach, beyond the actual cost to the incident itself, it also comes to consider about the loss of reputation, and also the loss of the cost in recovery the business during the incident breach, right? So actually during the incidents, the organization will need to spend huge amount of efforts in both investigating the root cause of why the data breach is actually happened, and then at the same time also, recovering the business.
The crisis management
The crisis management aspect of it. And at the same time also, you need to regain the trust from the customer of the organization itself. And oftentimes all this cannot be really quantified by the term of money. So that's the problem, yeah.
Fair, exactly. So in a sense, it's actually priceless, right?
Yeah.
All right, Puan Rashida, from there, if you could perhaps give us a little bit of an introduction, speaking about the fact that the government of Malaysia did actually launch the Malaysia Cybersecurity Strategy, the MCSS 2020 to 2024. Us being in 2024, what is the overall picture that we're getting? Is it positive, negative? What are some of the key areas of concern that still remain?
I will start by saying that the MCSS itself, the Malaysia Cybersecurity Strategy itself, is an indicator to our nations that the government has shifted the way cybersecurity as an IT issue. Cybersecurity only focus to the big organization, which we call critical national information infrastructure, but it goes beyond that. And I'm so happy that Sage mentioned about cyber hygiene, because be it government, be it industry, there are people inside there that actually do the day-to-day job. I come from the government, I mean you come from the industry, there are actual humans that conduct that. And the element of cyber hygiene is important. So coming back to the MCSS itself, it was launched in 2020. During our country and the world are facing the changes, drastic changes, where everyone rush into utilizing digitalization to ensure that we can actually do our jobs. Yeah. So if you compare to the incidences that happened prior COVID and post-COVID, it is a very different dynamic that happened, where I'm also happy that Sage mentioned about multi-factor authentication and Zabri mentioned about how hackers use data and credential and sell that username and password everywhere. I would say that we talk about the skills. We need tools, people with the right skills, and acquire the tools so that, for example, I'm just going to give an example of MFA or multi-factor authentication. The moment when you embark that into your whole process, and there is another element of zero trust, where you actually never trust anyone unless you authenticate, not only individual, but up until machine and application, where you need to make sure that that is particular machine that you talk to, that is particular identity that you talk to. The element of when the credential laid in the dark web or in the open web, username and password, it will not give an effect of any data breaches. And this, with the zero trust as well as the right implementation of MFA, the tools, you can actually reflect that. Coming back to the MCSS, one thing that I also want to indicate, where Zabri early mentioned about the need for regulatory framework, this is an extreme exercise, I would say, and an indicator from our highest level for us to work together to produce and develop a cybersecurity bill. We have started the journey of doing a study to identify how Malaysia and the feasibility of Malaysia having a cybersecurity bill to elevate the critical national information infrastructure entity, where we identify agency that have critical system, which we believe that if they actually do their due diligence with the right cybersecurity baseline, they actually can replicate a value chain, a supply chain, and holistically invest in terms of developing their internal cyber hygiene and replicate that at national level.
Fantastic. So what I'm really hearing is that if we're able to operationalize everything which needs to be in place before the cybersecurity bill comes into action, actually by that time we should have all the massive organizations already covered, right? And hopefully, if you're able to, a quick perhaps prospective timeline for this, Puan Rashida, before we go into a break.
So we have been instructed by our highest leader under the National Security Council, National Cybersecurity Committee, and also we have tabled the cabinet paper, the cabinet paper to our cabinet to get the approval in terms of policy to proceed with that bill. We are working in terms to ensure that the bill can be tabled this year. And again, to take back as what you said, it is not that the agencies or the entity did not do anything with regards to developing cybersecurity baseline and hygiene, but it is also to strengthen everyone's coordination within the regulatory power under our legislation to ensure that we actually elevate together in terms of making sure cybersecurity, it is cybersecurity and cybersecurity readiness level at the highest as we can.
So it's always a priority. Thanks, Puan Rashida. So we take a quick break. We'll be right back with the rest of this discussion right here on Niaga Spotlight. Stay with us.
Gelombang keempat monsun timur laut ini beralih ke selatan tanah air dengan keadaan banjir di Johor semakin meningkat.
Ekonomi Malaysia dijangka berkembang 4.5% pada 2024 dan 4.6% pada tahun hadapan.
Seorang pelajar tingkatan 5 diculik sebelum dikurung, bekas teman lelakinya dikepung.
Tiada laporan rakyat Malaysia terjejas dalam tragedi pengeboman di Kerman Cemetery.
Selepas permulaan tahun yang mencabar, wira kita bangkit semula, bertekad membuktikan kemampuan mereka.
That trademark smash.
Dalam perjalanan mengejar kegemilangan.
This was great.
Siapa bakal mendominasi Asia dan mendapatkan tempat ke Piala Thomas dan Uber? The Badminton Asia Team Championship 2024 secara langsung di Astro Supersport dan Astro Go.
Welcome back to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tehmina. So we're continuing the discussion on cyber resilience and, of course, the linkages to economic security. So going back into the discussion, Jazabri, now when we look at the realm of cybersecurity, often we hear this phrase, humans are the weakest link. Do you feel this is a fair statement, especially for our own case in Malaysia? Why or why not?
It's not, to me, it's not fair for human. Just joking. Okay.
Okay. Mostly because we have so much of AI and machine learning that's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yes, I agree. Because some people are, lazy. Some people they don't take things seriously. Some people, they negligence of updating their knowledge about the threats of or the danger of internet and cyber world. So this is what makes that whatever technology that you import, whatever process that you put, still there is a weakest link there because of this negligence. But if we able to understand that, so what should we do?
Exactly, the actionable steps.
Yeah, so we need to help these people. In predicting, okay, if their behavior will be like this, so how do we cope with that? Yeah, so this is where clearly whatever that we practiced before is still not enough, and then we need to do more. I agree with Puan Sharifah. The cybersecurity bill is the answer, whereby it will enforce the organisation to improve their cybersecurity level at their organization, which means that the government need to, protect the people, because need to understand that there are some people who are in this category that makes everything weak and become, the problem for a bigger problem in future. So with this cybersecurity bill, there is requirements to monitor the supply chains, the level of vulnerabilities or the level of readiness, the level of hygienes. When you do all these audits, you will get the numbers, you will get the measurement. The issue is that because of the absence of this regulation or this
fair enough repercussions, basically, right?
People will take advantage. They will not, invest money, and what happens is that the industry of cybersecurity will, they cannot expand. But once the bill introduced, for all these 11 sectors.
Compliance has to follow.
The industry, people will invest. And then there is a massive need for the manpower. So this is very important for our digital economy, because we already laid the infrastructure, the 5G network telecommunication. We already come up with the entrepreneurship program, marketplace. So what's next? The next level is the cybersecurity. We need to create trust for all this platform, all the system that the government develop is safe, and we all must participate in this.
100%. And Sage, can I shift the discussion to asking you, when it comes to major industry stakeholders, are they actually doing enough when it comes to minimizing the risk of financial scams and losses, particularly for individual consumers?
So I think the organizations need to start asking questions to themselves. Is cybersecurity so responsible to the IT department, or is it actually responsible for everyone in the organizations, right? So while I don't believe human is actually the only weakest link, I believe cybersecurity is actually a culture, right? So with everyone in the organization have the mindset of assume breach, I think we should implement a proper security posture and culture to ensure there's no gap in between people, process, and also technology. So in Trend Micro, right, we actually often assist our customer in educating their employee on the cybersecurity awareness. Like we work hand in hand together with them to run awareness workshop, and also providing tools for them to run phishing campaigns as well to their employee.
All right, so it's very heartening also to know about the fact that there's also a constant dialogue happening about this. It's just about getting enough players on board to create that critical mass, right?
Yes.
All right. Yes, Puan Rashida, anything to add?
Just now you asked whether is it a fair statement when you say human is the weakest link?
Yeah.
Allow me to add another sentence.
Sure.
That yes, human are the weakest link, but they are also the best defense. So it means that I think I'm going to take both what Zabri mentioned as well as Sage mentioned, where yes, humans are the weakest link because we are human, we need to work together, and we spoke about building cyber hygiene. Organizations, be it public or private, be it at national level or internationally and globally, they are investing in terms of building up human firewall. They do not only invest in terms of strengthening their cybersecurity team, their risk team, but they also do continuous investment to ensure that the people who work in that organizations understand how to protect themselves, which will actually spill over to the protecting of the organizations. So coming back to that, when you build up a culture of cybersecurity, as mentioned by Sage, you are elevating and making human as your best defense. Defense in what? Even if you are not a cybersecurity technical expert, but you have an awareness that this is not something that I work day to day. For example, if I work in marketing department, in marketing, these emails or this information that I receive is something that is funny.
Something fishy, literally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have the awareness to report to your risk team, to the technical people. Hey, can you have a look at my thing? They're doing something funny, or I do not recognize it. Not only the people with the expertise, with the tools, comes and say and holding stick to you in order
usually
to do
that happens when a crisis is unfolding, right?
Exactly. So unfortunately, when things happen, the learning curve will happen in an organization.
Fair enough. And I think those are recommendations that all organizations need to take. Now, I'm stretching that landscape even wider. Jazabri, so last September, PM Anwar Ibrahim, of course, launched the NIMP, the New Industrial Master Plan 2030, which, of course, aims very bold achievements, and at the same time, when it comes to industrialization, we are looking at moving so much of this into the online, the digital sphere. So how would you assess our digital resilience when it comes to readiness for NIMP 2030, which is just a few short years away?
Yeah. As for now, the truth is that we're still not ready yet. Yeah, I would say that the first step towards this is through cybersecurity bill. Yeah, cybersecurity bill, you know, it will create trust because the compliance is there. We have the numbers, and then the cybersecurity industry will boom. But at the same time, we have to accept that the technology wave is coming, and that this is disruptive, and nothing much we can do about it, but except to embrace it. As for example, in industrial sectors, yeah, the fourth IR is coming in, the automation, because it's the solution, because of we are lacking of the manpower, the workers. The intellectual level has increased. I mean, for Malaysian, we are no longer wants to work in the dirty
the 3D jobs.
The 3D jobs, yeah. So it will be replaced through these machines and automation. Yeah, but at the same time, in order, we need to understand that if we are moving towards digitalization, there is a risk if we don't plan it properly. When we design system, cyber-physical system, to improve our productivity, to improve our revenue, we need to understand that it must be designed in security in mind, because the engineers always think about the functionality, not the security aspect of it. So when we develop this, we take into consideration of cybersecurity aspect. This is why PM Anwar emphasized on cybersecurity, because of it is in order to reap the full advantage of digital economy, the risk level must be at the minimal level, which means that we must, at this current situation, we must expect that we will be attacked at any time. It's the matter of when.
So you got to be ready basically all the time, 24/7, 365.
When you are being attacked, it's all about how you bounce back, how you recover, the resilient aspect of it. You attack me, how many times I still can operate.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's what the most important thing, so that the economic delivery, we can make sure that it is consistent, and then the investor have trust on us, the customer will have trust on the industry, so it will improve.
Yeah, everything is exponential and it's interconnected as well, right? So I'd like to actually go into some specific data breaches that, of course, made global headlines, and also they were the most severe in Southeast Asia. They happened to happen in Malaysia in 2022. There was the AirAsia data breach. Then there was also the NRD-related data breach. So connected to that, Puan Rashida, of course, we recently launched our PADU central database hubs. Sign-ups, of course, have been slower than expected, with many raising concerns of data security and privacy concerns. So let's say, looking at the immediate recent history with these big data breaches, especially when it comes to government-related information, what can be done as an SOP to assure, especially the Rakyat, that you can be assured, you will be safe when you put your data into this database, not just PADU, but any of them?
So one thing that I think everyone needs to understand, when who in cybersecurity practice, the asset owner, for example, you talk about PADU, is accountable to practice the cyber hygiene that we speak about, to actually do the necessary, as what Mr. Zabri mentioned just now, risk assessment, that actually identify what is your crown jewel, and you do the elements of security by design, security being shift to the earlier stage, not when you do the testing, when the coding level, at the coding level that you already address the elements of security. And security by design, security in depth, it means that layers and layers and layers of protection or security controls, what you call it, where you protect your data, you protect your application, you protect the credential, you segmented your network in such a way, if any breaches happen, you have the resiliency. And I think that is what Zabri mentioned just now. It doesn't matter how many times people attack you, you actually can be business as usual as soon as you can, and you can protect your crown jewels, where your true oil of information, of data, of system, of critical system are protected in such a way it will not impact anyone that goes to the level of the highest. Coming back to the elements of how we actually govern cybersecurity.
Sure. Because also, if I may just interject, now at present though, Malaysian cybersecurity regulations, they don't actually apply to government data, correct? So how, in your perspective, ought that to be addressed, particularly concerning that, as Zabri, Sage, all of you have agreed upon, government data, related data, that's the crown jewel when it comes to breaches and risk.
I think what was not covered in the government is the personal data, PII, where we have an Official Secret Act that covered that. But I'm happy to share that in the cybersecurity bill that we are drafting, any entity that is recognized as critical national information infrastructure entity, be it government or private, you are accountable not only to protect your data, you need to ensure you do the due diligence in terms of protecting your system, your network and whatnot, where it will be measurable by doing security audit, just like what Zabri mentioned, the importance of audit to ensure that the baseline are being followed and due diligence are being put in terms of ensuring your cyber security are intact.
And if we have to regulate that through policy, then so be it.
Yes.
Yeah, fair. All right. So moving along the discussion as we move towards closing out it, can I ask you, Zabri, so cybersecurity, of course, is very cross-sectoral and the issue, and the discussion has to come from all different pillars, politics and security, economy, social and cultural matters. In your perspective from Cybersecurity Malaysia, what more can be done immediately and for the near future?
Yeah, as for the first step, what I'm looking forward is the cybersecurity bill. Back to the cybersecurity bill.
I love that we're emphasizing on that, and also that it's most likely going to happen this year. Of course, Parliament opens a little bit later this month, February 26th onwards, right?
Because from that, it will create, ripples.
Yeah.
Ripples. It will create the culture. It will create the needs. It will. The universities will, pushing new courses, and then because of the shortage of, you mentioned about the shortage of cybersecurity professional numbers. Yeah.
Yes, almost 25K short.
Yeah, we already achieved like 12,000, and then we did another 12,000 by 2026. But the capacity of the universities in Malaysia, we produce in our research, it's about 1,200 cybersecurity professionals. That's the maximum.
Ouch. So that's not really going to meet that 12K differential.
So what is our strategy? So we need to come up with some sort of career shift program. So those who are working in IT, they want to reskilling. They want to shift into cybersecurity. So they should attend these courses, and then they can join the cyber defenders. So this is one of the strategy, which is the manpower, the talents, not only to develop our own local talent, but to attract international talent. Talents from Trend Micro, for example, they're coming from Japan, coming from the overseas, and then working here, and then try to give knowledge or distribute the knowledge to Malaysian. So the system need to be designed in such way so that we are prepared when the cybersecurity bill being approved.
Exactly, so that everything is actually moving cohesively at one time.
As for now, it's up to each
individual
organization, which is, to me, it's not coordinated and it's unfair. the government must, take charge.
That's a judicious analysis. And Sage, from there, can I ask you about looking at threats on the horizon, which include, of course, forgery in the financial system, ransomware, and any form of scam that can threaten critical national infrastructures. So 2024 is also anticipated to be a year whereby we're going to see a lot more AI and machine learning related threats. Trend Micro's thoughts on this and how to best prepare.
So, given the ever-present cybersecurity risk, is crucial for the organizations to adopt a robust and efficient approach, right? So, let's start with a risk-based approach. A lot of organizations today is going with a maturity approach. So, because there are too many cybersecurity tools out there, while organizations trying to achieve the maturity level from time to time, end up it will be adopting too many cybersecurity tools, right? And then the challenge will be cybersecurity is too small and also alert fatigue from that perspective. And it didn't really meet the objective of cybersecurity in the end of the day. So with a risk-based approach, what you can do is that you can pinpoint and prioritize the resource into the actual risk that the organization is having, and then place the right resources and solutions in that space particularly. And then like what Rashida has mentioned about zero trust, with that approach, then we can effectively implement the zero trust strategy by prioritizing where is my risk, then I do the zero trust so-called preventions and block the high-risk assets like the identity or the users from accessing to my critical data from there. And then the journey do not stop there, right? Because you need to always constantly come back and review the strategy of the cybersecurity to see whether with all the latest threats is coming in by doing the cybersecurity assessment.
And how often would you recommend that to happen?
So that, at least once a year.
All right,
yeah.
Minimum, yeah?
Minimum, yeah. So in the organizations. Then don't forget also, we should be assuming we could be breached, right? With the mindset of that. If let's say in the incident of breach, what do we need to do? Because everyone will be jumping in, to try to restore the system, so-called the crisis management and everything. Communication is very important. So who should take what, responsible during that incident? And I think lastly, I want to emphasize also, again, the culture of cybersecurity. Constant so-called awareness program and educations to the employee in the organizations is very important to ensure we can deal with the latest threats, the AI element in the attackers' technologies, right? So that is very important as well.
Absolutely. And thank you for summing that up. And if I could now move quickly to Puan Rashida, perhaps to close out the entire session with basically NAGSA's opinions moving forward, particularly being a fairly newly established agency, but at the same time looking at really critical national digital infrastructures.
One thing that I would love to indicate that, yes, NAGSA, a newly established agency somewhere in 2017, but we at National Security Council have done the work of cybersecurity as national security matters since 2004. But because of the traditional security, we were placed in an organization where at that particular point of time, the traditional security are in the midst of shifting. We used to
I'm sorry, if I may ask you to maybe summarize that very quickly.
Of course. What I would say at national level, that I believe that coming years at National Cybersecurity Agency, we envisioned that we would want to elevate cyber hygiene at national security, at national level. We also want to work together with all the stakeholders, and we always recognize that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility, and we need to build trust within the government agency, trust within the industry, and trust among each other in order for us to build a secure and trusted cyber ecosystem in Malaysia.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Puan Rashida, as well as Sage. Well, that's all we have time today for on Niaga Spotlight. Please join us again next Friday with more business analysis and insights. I'm Tehmina Kaoosji signing off for now, together with my wonderful panel, and we'll see you again next Friday. All right.